Sorry. I had to start a new video because my camera died. So, anyway, back to what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my batteries dying in my camcorder. Um, I I'm doing the Jodie Whittaker costume mainly because I read the article, the cover story in Entertainment Weekly magazine from around the time that the San Diego Comic-Con was in effect in California. And the Entertainment Weekly issue came out the very same week of Comic-Con. And one of Entertainment Weekly's photography and staff writers went out to England to interview the people behind the scenes, including actress Jodie Whittaker, to do an interview for their cover story. And of course, they actually took some pictures from the set of Doctor Who, and they put Jodie Whittaker on the front cover. In her and I actually looked at the new costume that they had for the 13th Doctor again. It's actually kind of gorgeous. And you know, I do love rainbows. I mean, I can't find them now, but I do have a pair of rainbow fingerless gloves that I am selling on Etsy.com. They're called Topsy Turvy Pride gloves. And they are LGBT friendly because they have rainbows on them. Kind of like inverted rainbows. So they don't kind of necessarily match, but then they kind of do. And they're very cute, they're very chic, very beautiful, and they are perfect for people of all sexualities. Gay, straight, bi, transgender, queer, questioning, anyone. And anyone who loves rainbows, or even Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony. Yes, I know all the characters' names of My Little Pony. Don't ask me why. Or, I will tell you why. My boyfriend watches the series and he makes me watch the show. But anyway, for Costume Con 37, I'm making a little announcement. I am going to create my own Doctor Who costume in the same design of Jodie Whittaker's costume. So I'm going to look like the 13th Doctor, the very first woman Last of the Time Lords. The very first woman to ever play Doctor Who. And this is truly groundbreaking because in the past 55 years, the Doctor was always played by a man. From William Hartnell to Peter Capaldi, it's always been a man. Even though it was groundbreaking 4 years ago when they casted Peter Capaldi, because they actually, Stephen Moffat, who in my heart of hearts is a total writing genius, sue me. I think Stephen Moffat is a genius. Say what you want, call me crazy. I love Stephen Moffat. His writing does not compare to Russell Davies. He made the show better. and he did a lot of different cool theories to physics, astrophysics, and quantum theories. He did a lot of that stuff in Doctor Who, especially since he was the one who created the bootstrap paradox in season 5. Really cool stuff. Stephen Moffat is responsible for creating the bootstrap paradox in season 5. The bootstrap paradox but the bootstrap paradox is not mentioned until season 9 in the episode Before the Flood, which is the second part of a 2-part episode, where Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor is explaining the time traveler problem with Ludwig van Beethoven. And it's at the very, very beginning of the episode, Peter Capaldi explains the bootstrap paradox, comparing it to Beethoven, and then he pulls out his black axe. He calls it an axe. His beautiful black electric guitar. And he strums the chords to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the Fate Symphony. Awesome. But yeah, this was actually groundbreaking. Stephen Moffat said to Peter Capaldi, when you play the 12th Doctor, I want you to keep your Scottish accent. So it was kind of groundbreaking that the Doctor has a Scottish accent for the first time, because the Doctor has always had an English accent, a British accent, but he's never been Scottish until Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, first time in 50 years. And then in 2017, which was last year at Christmas time, when Peter Capaldi said, my time is over, I'm not doing Doctor Who anymore, in comes Jodie Whittaker, the first woman out of all 12 Doctors to be the last of the Time Lords. And I read the Entertainment Weekly article, and it sounds like Jodie Whittaker is energetic. She's a little bit talkative, like a 12-year-old girl. She's kind of got a personality like my absolute favorite Doctor, Matt Smith. I love the 11th Doctor. You know, bow ties are cool. And, oh yeah, yesterday was National Bow Tie Day. That's what it said on Twitter. There was a hashtag on Twitter that said National Bow Tie Day. And I said, bow ties are cool. You should follow me on Twitter. And I was absolutely excited for Matt Smith. I was absolutely apeshit for him. He is my number one favorite actor, favorite celebrity on my hot guy list. Yes, I have a list. Every girl has one. Every straight girl has a hot guy list, a hot celebrity list. Every girl has one. And at the top of my list is Matt Smith. Second is Benedict Cumberbatch. Third is Patrick Stump, the lead singer of Fall Out Boy. I've always loved him. Even when he was a little bit overweight, he used to be overweight. I still loved him then because I thought he was still cute. He was a little bit chubby, but kind of cute. and then he got exceptionally hotter, and his voice got unbelievable when he lost 60 pounds. He, I don't know what he did, but it's like he dramatically changed his diet and the way he exercised, and he lost 60 pounds. And now he looks like the child of Hall & Oates and the lead singer of Flock of Seagulls, especially with the new hairstyle that he has, kind of in between Hall & Oates and Flock of Seagulls. He's also a really big fan of Prince, from what I understand, and I adore him. He's like one of my musical soulmates, because we both love a lot of 80s music. I do love Hall & Oates, so. Anyway, my Etsy shop is Chic Geek Couture. C-E-S-T, chic, geek, as in geeks or nerds, and then couture, as in a clothing line. And it's a French term for a clothing line, like Chanel. And in my shop details, I do say that Chic Geek Couture is very, very much like Chanel, only it's more cost effective. It's basically kind of like H&M. I try to sell my crochet items at a low cost, but I talked to someone who also owns an Etsy shop for knitting. She knits, and I actually saw her knitting in the student union today at CCBC, and I couldn't believe how fast her hands were going. She looked like she was the fastest, lightning fast knitter in the world. Her hands go a zillion miles per hour. And it's like, oh my God, how are you doing that? And I'm like, I can't crochet nearly as fast as her, but I do have a very steady pace for crochet, which is why my therapist has said the way you crochet is actually very hypnotizing. And when I'm crocheting, I'm kind of in a trance. I'm in the zone, just crocheting. And I usually have my iPod playing my crochet playlist. And most of my crochet playlist is not classical music. It's actually Lady Gaga. And the reason why I picked Lady Gaga for my crochet designs is because Lady Gaga is synonymous with fashion. Case in point, her episode appearance on Fashion Runway on Lifetime. She was on an episode of Fashion Runway, and all the couture designers, competitors on Fashion Runway absolutely loved her. Lady Gaga screams fashion. She has tons of fashion statements whenever she hits the red carpet for VMAs or even the Grammy Awards. For instance, the meat dress, where she has an entire dress made out of strips of meat. Yeah, she is a fashionista. Case in point, her album Art Pop. There are 3 songs on that album called Fashion, Mary Jane Holland, and Donatella. And Donatella, she named that song after Versace. And Versace is a very haute couture, high-end fashion designer. And the song Donatella is about Donatella Versace. It's about the designer. And I believe all the celebrities, every single celebrity, including Lady Gaga, is friends with at least 1 or 2 very high-end designers. Like, Keira Knightley is friends with Oscar de la Renta, which is why he made that beautiful purple dress for her for the premiere of Pride and Prejudice. Love that dress. Love the purple dress. Anyway, getting back to the EW article, I was actually inspired by the Entertainment Weekly article. I saw it and I said, and I read it over and I said, you know, maybe having a female doctor is not such a bad idea, especially since the BBC found the right woman for the job. Maybe Jodie Whittaker has something to offer to Doctor Who. For Matt Smith, it was the Fez, because Matt Smith loved the Fez. And Matt Smith brought a little bit of his playfulness that he borrowed from Tomb of the Cybermen, a very, very old 1960s episode of Patrick Troughton, the Second Doctor. And Matt Smith kind of embellished it on that. And he also brought in Jammy Dodgers for the TARDIS self-destruct button. The TARDIS self-destruct button is actually a Jammy Dodger. It's a Jammy Dodger, but I was promised tea. Well, that was actually improved. That part of it was actually improved. Matt Smith helped the writers write that into the script. TARDIS bang bang Daleks boom. And this actually makes me mad. The Wegmans grocery store in Hunt Valley, Maryland, used to carry Jammy Dodgers in the international food section of the grocery store. I love those things. I used to buy them whenever I got the chance. Today, every time I go to Wegmans and I go to the international food section, they're not there. Where are the Jammy Dodgers? Come on! And I love those things. They're little shortbread cookies with raspberry jam in the middle. And they have little hearts in the middle. And I love those things. I used to eat them all the time whenever I went to Towson, whenever I went to college, and I would share them with my friends. And, you know, those are delectable treats from the United Kingdom. I want them. I want them back. Why can't we sell them in the United States? It's not fair. This is why I want to go to England. And as much as I want to, I can't afford a passport either because I'm broke. I would love to go to England before I die. That's one of my things on my bucket list. See the United Kingdom. I want to see London, Chawton, Cardiff, Wales, and possibly Bath. I would love to see Bath. I would love to see the English countryside, mainly because of Jane Austen. And I want to see London mainly for the original Hard Rock Cafe that opened in the 1970s, 1980s. That was the very first one that opened. The original Hard Rock Cafe is in London, England. Not kidding. It did not originate in the United States. It came from England. The first one ever built was in London. It's still there. I want to go to London to eat a meal and dessert at the Hard Rock Cafe in London. I want to get on the London Eye and see a skylight view of London from the very, very top. I am not afraid of heights. And I wouldn't mind it if I took a trip down North Gower Street. Why? North Gower Street, if you know your BBC history, North Gower Street is the street known as 221B Baker Street on Masterpiece Mystery, Sherlock. I'm a big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. He's number 2 on my list. He's second on my hot guy list. Benedict Cumberbatch, for me, is the best actor who ever played Sherlock Holmes. Amazing, amazing actor. He's one of my favorites. And the reason why I want to see North Gower Street is because that street, that stretch of road, is where they shot the exterior of 221B Baker Street live in London, while fans were waiting outside and gathering in droves watching the producers and the people behind the scenes shoot every scene where Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch are outside 221B and they're doing their lines. That is where they shot Baker Street. And that's also where Mrs. Hudson has her little cafe shop right next door to 221B. That North Gower Street, that is the exact street where Baker Street is. Baker Street does not exist in today's London, but North Gower Street is as close as it gets. That's why I want to see London. And Cardiff, Wales, obviously, the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff, which is kind of like a museum of Doctor Who, and, of course, the Millennium Center, which is where they shot Torchwood. That's why I want to go. That's mostly why I want to go to England. And also the Museum of Art. I hear that's really cool. So yeah, a lot of stuff to do in England. I want to go. I'm dying to go. But I've got no money. I don't even have money for an airplane ticket. So anyway, that's all for me. I think Jodie Whittaker will be a very promising Doctor. And she did get a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people. And in all honesty, I think she's going to do a good job, even if I feel like she's going to fail. She's kind of in the hot seat. You know, she might fail. She actually might do some good. It might be like the 1996 movie with Paul McGann that tanked severely because the writing sucked. I mean, the frickin' main female character, the female companion, in the 1996 movie was a frickin' Mary Sue. Hated her. The only character I liked was the Doctor. I liked Paul McGann. And I wish he had more time on Doctor Who, but the 1996 movie was absolute crap. And I think a lot of people would agree. It's garbage. Especially since they hired an American staff. You don't hire an American staff to do a British job. Sorry, but we're terrible writers when it comes to English television. Let's write our own thing. Let's do our own thing in our own time. You gotta learn from a first person source. And even though it did so well, I really think that E.L. James' 50 Shades of Grey series is a stinker. I really hate 50 Shades of Grey. I read one page of that story and already I felt no sympathy and no empathy for the main character. I knew the writing was just awful and there were so many grammatical errors, I wanted to shoot myself. So I just threw 50 Shades of Grey back. It's like no one knows how to write erotica anymore. No one knows how to write anymore because everyone's doing self-publishing. This is why I still want to get a literary agent. I want to get an agent because that way I'll get to a real publisher, get a real editor, because I may be a grammar Nazi, but I don't have the actual resources to actually fine-tune everything. I kind of have an outdated source of E.B. White and William Strunk and White Elements of Style. I don't know if it's still good. I still have it. I haven't looked at it in a while. But honestly, it's mostly for journalism people, reporters, journalists, editorialists, commentators, that sort of thing. And honestly, I think it might be a good idea if I get an agent and get an actual publisher and an editor first, so that I know going in what to leave in my story and what to rip out. What grammatical and revision errors do I need to fix? Because I really need an editor. I need to make constant revisions. And as Neil Gaiman said, there is no end to revision. Same with David Gerrold. David Gerrold, I've actually met in person. He is the guy who wrote the very famous Star Trek episode Trouble with Tribbles. And he is also the writer behind the movie and the book called The Martian Child. And he's won tons and tons of writing awards, including the Hugo and the Nebula. And David Gerrold has said you need to constantly revise when you are writing science fiction. When you are writing any piece of fiction, any piece of literature, you always need to make revisions. There is no end. There is no end to the revision. You constantly need to keep revising, keep tearing stuff out until you can revise no more. That's why David Gerrold said in Worlds of Wonder, write your first 1,000 words, rip it up, throw it in the trash. Write your next 1,000 words. Rip it up, throw it away. Write 1,000,000 words. Write void and throw it away. Because your first few drafts are going to be absolute garbage. And it's not going to be until maybe the 10th or maybe the 90th revision where you finally have something good. Don't care how many revisions you go through. Just keep writing. And like Neil Gaiman said, you have to make time to write. You have to keep writing. And all you have to do is put one word after another, repeat. One word after another, like one foot in front of the other, like the Walk the Moon song. One word after another and repeat. That's what Neil Gaiman said in the Nerdist podcast with Chris Hardwick. And I absolutely love this podcast. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, I know a lot of nerdy things. I hope you can keep up with me. This has been What a Music Geek, Rachel Beth Aarons, and I bid you good night.